check out IG Ball if you're looking to buy cheap NBA Live mobile coins. Click the link in the description and use the code Bobby for 6% off. What's up, ballers? It's Bobby Buckets here with our first ever March Madness challenge. So I'm really excited about this. You guys may not know this about me, but I'm actually a bigger fan of college basketball than I am of NBA. I feel like they definitely play more defense. I feel like it's closer to what basketball is meant to be. Obviously, they're not as skilled, but I enjoy watching it more, especially in March. There's just so many good basketball games on and so many upsets that happen. So I'm really excited about this and actually going to be including you guys in my bracket picking process as well. So as you guys can see, we actually have a group made right here, Bobby's Ballers. Anybody can join. I'll have the link down in the description. You guys just click on it to join and make your bracket. So we're actually going to be having coin prizes for the top 3 people. So giving away NBA Live mobile coins to the winners. Those will be announced later, so keep an eye out for that. Probably being announced on Twitter, so if you haven't already, go ahead and follow me on Twitter. But we're going to go ahead and jump in and pick my bracket right here. So in the first round, we got Villanova versus MSNO. There hasn't been a 16 seed over a 1 seed yet, so I'm going to take Villanova in that matchup. Next, we got Wisconsin. I'm a little bit biased towards the Big Ten because I'm a Michigan State fan. I watch the Big Ten more, but I think Wisconsin can get the W over Virginia Tech. Then one tendency that happens that's relatively odd in the NCAA tournament is for 12 seeds to upset 5 seeds. Now, I would normally pick this upset, but UVA is in a really good conference, the ACC, and they've had a lot of really tough competition. I think that's the reason their record isn't that great. So I'm going to pick them over UNC Wilmington. I think their defense is going to come through. Next, we got Florida versus ETSU. I'm going to pick Florida just because I don't know much about ETSU, and even though I don't trust the SEC a whole lot, I think Florida can get the W. I'm going to pick the 11th seed over the 6th seed just because I don't really know much about SMU either. I know their program has had some trouble, so maybe they'll lose to whoever wins that game. Then we got Baylor versus New Mexico State. Baylor is very, very athletic and very long. I think they can go pretty far, so I'll take them over New Mexico State. Then I'll take Marquette over South Carolina. Like I said, I don't trust the SEC a whole lot. Not a whole lot of competition down there, so usually they have better records than their skill indicates, or less skilled than their record indicates. I don't know how to say that, but I'll take Marquette in that matchup. And then Duke has been looking really, really good in the last half of the season. All their major pieces are healthy, so I think they'll go pretty far. Next, we got Gonzaga versus South Dakota State. If I was going to pick a 16 seed over a 1 seed, I would pick South Dakota State. Gonzaga, usually whenever they're a 1 seed, they have a hard time with whoever they get matched up against, and I don't trust their team that much. They are in the WAC conference. That's not a joke, the WAC. Really no competition over there, so usually they have a really good record because they don't play that many good teams. Now, obviously, they're pretty solid if they have a good record, but I don't trust them a whole lot. Then we're going to pick Northwestern because of my Big Ten bias. Notre Dame has been looking really good. I've watched them play a lot in the ACC tournament. And Bonzie Colson, as well as, what's his name? His last name's Farrell. Can't remember what his first name is. Short white guy that can shoot really well. As well as Steve Vastoria, I think it is. He's been there for forever, but I'm going to take them over Princeton. West Virginia playing some lockdown defense. I'm going to take Maryland over Xavier. Melo Trimble is having one of his better years. He had kind of an off year last year, but he's been looking good. This is going to be my biggest upset pick of the tournament. Florida Gulf Coast over Florida State. So a lot of you probably know Florida Gulf Coast actually went, I believe, to the Final Four a few years ago as a 15 seed. They always have crazy amounts of talent, really athletic. I think they can take down Florida State, even though Florida State's been pretty good this season. Usually if people can prevent them from getting the basket, they have a really hard time scoring. So I think Florida Gulf Coast has a chance in that one. We're going to take VCU over St. Mary's and Arizona over North Dakota. Next up, we got another easy pick with the 116 matchup. Obviously, got to pick my team, Michigan State. The hat is probably actually transparent right now just because of the green screen and how that works. and making sure my mic's on because I've recorded this 3 times, and first time mic wasn't on, second time my computer froze in the middle of it. So this is you can see this is a third bracket that I've made. Hopefully it all works this time. Next up, got to pick that 5-12 upset. I'm going to take Nevada, even though I don't really know anything about them. I think they can pull off the upset, so I'll take Purdue over Vermont. I don't know who URI is, so I don't think I've ever heard of that school, so I'm going to take Creighton in that matchup. Got Oregon over Iona, and then because of my Big Ten bias, Michigan over Oklahoma State, and not going to try to pick that 15-2 upset. Even though it did happen, I think, twice last year or the year before, that's not something I feel confident enough to predict. Then we got Carolina over Texas Southern, obviously. Seton Hall over Arkansas, another SEC team that I don't see going very far. And then Middle Tennessee State over Minnesota, another one of those 5-12 upsets. Middle Tennessee State actually beat Michigan State last year when Michigan State was a 2 seed. It was considered one of the biggest upsets of all time in the NCAA tournament. They can usually shoot the lights out, and if they have a good game, they could win this one easily. So I'm going to take them over Minnesota. I'm going to take Butler over Winthrop. I'm just going to randomly pick another 11-6 upset just for the heck of it. 6 seeds don't usually go too far. And then UCLA with Lonzo Ball, they've looked really good this season. Even though I usually have a hard time picking Pac-12 teams just because they seem to all collapse around tournament time every year, I'm going to pick them in that matchup. Wichita State seems to usually pull it together around tournament time, so I'll take them over Dayton. And Kentucky, with so much talent on that team, got to pick them. Next up, reigning champions Villanova over Wisconsin. I don't think Wisconsin has enough offensive firepower. UVA has some lockdown defense as well, so I'm going to take them over Florida. Baylor with that athleticism and length, and Duke over Marquette just because they have so much talent right now. They're going to be really hard to beat. If I was going to pick a 1-8 upset, I would pick Northwestern over Gonzaga, but I don't think Northwestern quite has enough talent to pull that off. And take Notre Dame. Like I said, they've been looking really, really good. And next up, I don't think Florida Gulf Coast is going to go to the Final Four this year. I'll take Maryland in that matchup. And Arizona over VCU. This is one of the harder ones for me to pick. Do I want to be loyal to my team, or do I want to go with the rankings? The thing about Michigan State is typically the higher they're ranked, the worse they do. The lower they're ranked, the better they do, which doesn't make any sense. But last year they were a 2 seed, lost in the first round. Typically, if they're like a 1 through 3 seed, they lose in the first couple rounds. If they're like a 4 through 9 seed, they typically go to the Elite Eight or the Final Four. So I'm going to pick Michigan State over Kansas in this game. Next up, I'm going to take Purdue. They have so many rebounders. Caleb Swanigan is just a monster down low. Next up, we got Creighton versus Oregon. Gonna take Creighton in that matchup, and Louisville right here. And then UNC versus Seton Hall. I think UNC, they've got a lot of talent. They haven't done quite as well towards the end of the season, but I think they can win. And then I don't know. I'm feeling Middle Tennessee State this year. I think they can upset Butler, and I'm going to take UCLA. Like I said, they have a ton of options, as well as Kentucky. Both of those teams just have so much skill. They're going to be a really good matchup if they meet. Villanova over UVA. I think Villanova has a chance to repeat this year, so I've got to pick them. And then Duke over Baylor. Even though Baylor has a lot of length and athleticism, I think Duke's just doing too good right now. I'm going to pick the 5-1 upset, Notre Dame over Gonzaga. Like I said, Gonzaga plays very little strong competition. If you look at this matchup, Gonzaga has played, oh dang, they're 6-0 versus the top 25. I did not realize that. All right, so I'm thinking a little bit better about them right now, but either way, I still feel like Notre Dame is going to pull away the win. Let's see who Gonzaga beat. I did not realize they were that good. Florida, Arizona, Iowa State, and St. Mary's. See, none of those wins impress me that much. I don't see any of those teams going really far, and Notre Dame has been playing really good, so I'm going to take them. I'm going to take Maryland over Arizona. Pac-12 teams, like I said, usually seem to crumble, especially in the tournament. So Arizona is usually ranked really high and never goes that far. So I'm going to take Maryland in that matchup. I'm going to take Michigan State over Purdue. Going to stick with my team throughout the tournament. And I'm going to pick Louisville over Oregon. I don't know a ton about either of those teams, so I'm going to go based off of the rankings. And then UNC over Middle Tennessee, going to end their run right there. This is going to be one of the best games of the tournament if it happens. So if you look at both of these teams, UCLA with the better record against the top 25, 4-3 versus 2-4 for Kentucky. Thing is, UK has a better RPI rank, a better BPI rank. They don't score as many points per game. They have a better record in the last 12 games, but that is because Kentucky's been playing in the SEC. But Kentucky does have wins against Carolina, against Florida. They did lose against Louisville, lost to Kansas, but those are both really solid teams. Beat Arkansas twice, but they did lose to UCLA. I did not realize that. Oh, wow, that makes this a lot harder to pick. I don't know. I just feel like Kentucky has too much talent, and UCLA is a Pac-12 team. So for some reason, the Pac-12 just doesn't do that well in the tournament. I'm going to take Kentucky in that matchup. And then another one of the best games in the tournament, I'm guessing. So last 12 games, Duke hasn't done as well, didn't do as well in the conference. And Villanova has they're ranked number 1 in RPI, number 1 in BPI. Villanova with wins against Purdue, Notre Dame, Virginia, Creighton. Lost to Butler, but one loss against Marquette. I think Villanova is going to go all the way this year, so I'm going to pick them over Duke. Oh, almost picked the wrong one. Next up, I think Notre Dame's just going to keep rolling. They've looked really good. I think they'll take out Maryland and Melo Trimble. And I'm just going to keep sticking with my team. The lower Michigan State's ranked, usually the better they do around tournament time. So I'm going to stick with them. And I'm going to take Kentucky over Carolina. Carolina struggled a little bit towards the end of the season. Justin Jackson hasn't been his normal self, so I'm going to take Kentucky in that matchup. Just too much firepower, and then I'm going to take Villanova. Like I said, I think they're going all the way this year, and I think this is where Michigan State's run is going to end. So they're really good. Usually, though, they have a hard time getting in the championship game. They have a lot of Final Fours, but not a lot of championships, so I think Kentucky's firepower is just going to be too much. And like I said, I think Villanova winning the whole thing. I'm going to take a 76-73 victory over Kentucky and submit my picks. So that's going to be my bracket for this year. If you guys want to comment your bracket winner down below, definitely do that, as well as joining ours. So we got lots of people in there. Would love to have you guys join, and we're going to have coin prizes for the winners. But that's going to be about it for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please be sure to comment, like, and subscribe if you did, and I will see you guys next time.